What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Wait What We Talked About podcast, episode 84. My name is Bret, aka Enigma 911, and we're going solo for one more run, one more show. We're talking some more Wandavision in the finale. We're talking about the MCU in the future, and we're also going to be talking about AEW Revolution thoughts and results. So yeah, it should be a fun one. Remember, guys, if you want to catch the podcast live, go over to twitch.tv/Enigma911 every other Saturday, where it's live at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can join the conversation if you're a sub. We'd love to have you. Always more fun and interesting when more people are chatting along with us. But if you can't catch it live, that's A-OK. It's posted on YouTube and SoundCloud the following week, topic by topic, and as one big video and MP3 for your amusement. And last but not least, remember merch store and get all of your swag over there. T-shirts, cups, backpacks, and more. Rep the brand, support us. It would be greatly appreciated. So yes, another solo. We're talking that WandaVision finale. Oh boy. So let's get right into it. I'm excited. I thought it went really well. Really enjoyed how they kind of wrapped everything together. Similar to the past WandaVision episodes, I'm going to be kind of talking about the notes briefly that I made as I was watching the show. And then we can kind of obviously discuss afterwards what our overall thoughts were and where we think it's going to go from here. Because obviously there's some teasers / direction of where it's going to go, but obviously there's still some things up in the air of how it could be presented, if that makes sense. So yeah, very excited and exciting that it happened. Obviously, finally, this was the first episode I actually watched on that Friday because I was like, I'm not waiting for this just in case. Obviously, the internet was going to spoil it, which surprisingly enough, people don't hold back and post things almost immediately. So I was excited for that. I was a little sad. It was 49 minutes, but honestly, it worked. It didn't feel super short, and it felt like they didn't feel rushed in many ways. There was a couple areas where I thought they could have maybe fleshed things out a little bit more, which I'll talk about. But I thought the runtime worked well. We went right into the fighting, right into the combat, right into the conflict. So we went right into the Agatha and Wanda fight. So it seems like Agatha's main thing was absorbing Wanda's power and becoming more powerful that way. And we saw kind of the effects that was taking on Wanda with the black hands, and then progressively, as we saw in the episode, like similar to the Coven we referenced last episode with the origin story, kind of taking away her life force in a way. So interesting, we're doing that. Yeah, the fight was cool. A lot of cool uses of the magic and whatnot. We had little callbacks to past MCU movies, like towards the end of the fight. Obviously, we've got the reference, or the kind of similar played out to, of Age of Ultron going into the mind, but I'm kind of skipping ahead. So let's see. I called that. So during the fight, we had a little fun reference. We saw the boots under the car that she threw into the house. A little Wizard of Oz reference. I thought that was funny. And then we had White Vision show up, and that whole reveal for Wanda, and kind of teased you with that the sympathy being shown of like, oh, I'm fine, and then just grabs her head. And I was like, oh god, you're gonna just implode her head right here. So that was kind of tense. And then obviously Spirit Vision, or whatever you want to call the good Vision, shows up, gets that all taken care of. And then it was just like, when he showed up too, I thought it was odd. He's just like cool with everything, because they haven't seen each other since that big fight. And what was it, like episode 5 or 6? Just like, oh yeah, this is fine. I don't know, I guess Darcy must have filled him in enough that he was like, there's a bigger problem here or whatever. But I just thought it was funny. He just like swoops in, hey, yeah, I'm gonna go take care of this thing, and swoops off to fight the other Vision self. So yeah, we figured out what was happening with Monica after the little teaser of episode 7 with Quicksilver. She's trapped in a house. I was wondering why, but then obviously the speedster powers makes total sense. This was one of the things I had kind of like, not a problem with, but I wish they kind of fleshed out more. I wish there was more of a fight between faux Quicksilver and Monica with the powers. Now, I understand she doesn't know her powers really all that much, and like, it's kind of just happening on its own. But that was literally like 2 minutes. Hey, you're a real dude that is working with her. Hey, the powers come through the necklace. Boop. There goes the necklace. Okay, bye. It just seemed odd. Like they couldn't have at least had like a little bit more of an altercation or fight and then the necklace thing. Yeah, I don't know. Excuse me. Interesting, they went the route of not an illusion either with the Quicksilver, how they went with a real guy who lived in the town who was out of his luck, I guess. But does confirm that we're not just kind of absorbing into the X-Men universe. It was just more of the fun, like, hey, it's the old Quicksilver from the Fox films. So I did appreciate that, just the little tongue-in-cheek aspect of it. So yeah, we got that. Let's see. There were some references or name drops that I kind of, similar to a previous episode we talked about. Jeff brought it up of what it actually was. I don't remember. Lagos, I think it was. So this one, there was a name drop of Quantico and Cliff. I don't know if those have any significance to anything, but I wrote those down. I couldn't remember exactly what they were. Going back to the Agatha and Wanda fight, Harkless was like kind of progressively getting darker throughout the fight. It seemed like she would have like the darker soles of her eyes, or like her fingers I think were actually going dark as well. So I thought that was cool how she was kind of using more of that power and kind of progressing. Apparently there's a chapter of the Death Book, or what I assume is the Death Book, about the Scarlet Witch in there and how they're forged, not born. So maybe that's kind of tying in with the Mind Stone awakening her powers, as we saw in the last episode. And then also a very important note that Agatha kind of just dropped is that the Scarlet Witch is more powerful, or exceeds the power of the Sorcerer Supreme. So that kind of is our first tie-in to Doctor Strange. He's not Sorcerer Supreme yet, I'm pretty sure, in the movies. I don't remember if they ever made that promotion to him, but obviously Tilda something, her character was the Sorcerer Supreme, and then obviously she's gone, so they need a new one. But I just thought that was like, oh, we're finally referencing that movie or that franchise, so that was cool. Harkless to mess with Wanda wakes up the rest of the town, including Dottie, and they're all like really against Wanda, which makes sense. I mean, they were essentially taken prisoner in their own town and used as puppets, so Wanda's starting to deal with that. They're trying to negotiate stories about like their kids and whatnot, and kind of re-inputted that point of like the kids were in their rooms sleeping those first couple episodes where there was no kids. So I thought that was interesting. Talked about that. Let's see. So along the same lines of the town waking up, they're sharing how like they felt her pain as well. So I was wondering if maybe that was a reason like why they were crying in previous episodes when Vision has woken them up, like the coworker with the email. I think there was another one too. Wasn't it? It was the woman setting up like her Halloween decoration. She had the one tear coming down. So I was wondering if there was like that sadness was because, hey, we're being controlled, or if it was the pain that was being shared from Wanda. Stress choking everybody out because she was stressed. That was not good. So yes. So as she does this, she kind of Wanda comes to the realization like, I'm doing something wrong here with keeping these people in. So she decides to break the bubble around. And as this was happening, I was like, oh God, is this going to get rid of Vision fighting white Vision? And then that's going to be a whole nother issue, which it did. And she recognized it and she stopped it. But unfortunately, this allowed the military to roll in. So, what's his butt? Hayward is in there now, along with backup. So she's going to kind of choose between Westview and the family. Also, the kids started falling apart. So Jeff Ha ha ha, in your face. I know you're not watching right now, but when you do, in your face. The kids were fake the whole time. Did call that. It is sad, and it gets more sadder later, but called that. So yeah, I made a note of Hayward making it in, but I said, shit, Wu didn't make it in, or his backup that he called, so that's unfortunately. So the boys were going to fight, which was cool, so we get to see them a little bit more of their powers. I know we got hints of it at the Halloween episode. But we have that. Then we go back to the Vision versus Vision fight. So they've been doing their thing. Density versus density. Blah, blah, blah. Blast out of the head. Looks cool. It was very cool to kind of see this mirror match go down. But then we kind of get into this building, and Spirit Vision, Wanda's Vision, kind of realizes he's got to take a different approach with it, and he kind of took like the iRobot route with it, with like the robot rules, like, hey, how are you going to follow your directive if you're the thing you need to destroy? So we get that conversation going on. I like the strategy of it. Maybe that fight could have gone on a little longer. That's kind of picking at threads here, but we got that. So anyways, Vision's talking down other Vision, White Vision. Let's see. So now we go back to the kids. They're fighting. We got Speed. Is it just Speed? Yeah, I think it's Speed. Just running around taking all the guns away from the military. Here comes Hayward. Shoots at the kids because he's a piece of shit. Photon runs in, and she like absorbs the bullets and like slows them down, which was interesting. Cool moment for her. Once again, she's not really controlling it, so it's like, I mean, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how she develops these powers, because everything kind of else has happened automatically, default-wise. I don't know. So we got that. So that was cool. A little moment between them. So yeah, Hayward's going to be taken care of and go to jail because he's shooting at kids. Darcy showing up at the nick of time too, so Hayward couldn't get away, which was great. So the Visions were talking. I kind of made a note. I was wondering as they were going on if they were going to fuse like Dragon Ball Z almost, of the memories of Vision and the real Vision, or sorry, White Vision, which we kind of got. They didn't fuse per se, but he kind of transferred the memories, it seemed, almost like a copy paste over to White Vision. So in a way, Vision is now resurrected, which is interesting. Cool to see. I think this is our first MCU resurrection, if I'm not mistaken, of like somebody coming back to life. Technically, like not in the same moment. Like there might have been a moment where like somebody got like CPR. Iron Man might have gotten like his chest batterized. I don't know how to say it, but I think this is our first actual resurrection. So that was cool to see. It's going to be interesting going forward, especially with how that fight goes. White Vision, seeing these memories, kind of just flies off and seems to be, I don't know if he's like fighting with himself mentally as well now, or he was just super scared being woken up to all this, but now he's back and he's alive without the Mind Stone, which is interesting. So I wonder how officially that works, if they're ever going to explain that. I don't know. Also, is he going to get a paint job, or is he just going to be White Vision forever? But well, I guess we'll see from there. So as I mentioned earlier, now Wanda and Agatha are still fighting. I talked about the reference to Age of Ultron, with Wanda kind of doing that little zoom up behind her to go into her brain, into her psyche. And holy shit, it was dark in this scene. I don't know if you guys could see anything, but I couldn't see shit. So dark, you couldn't see like anything going on around. I'm like, bro, I didn't turn up my brightness, so I might have missed something in this scene, but it was really dark. So yeah, we're in the brain, or the memories of Agatha. It was kind of cool callback. Somehow the memory starts turning, and now the witches on the outside notice Wanda, and they're turning on her. That was kind of creepy. We do see the crown on Wanda as well, the little astral projection again, which was neat. So, where am I off here? We got the thing about Agatha saying once a spell is cast, it can never be changed. I'm not sure if that was just a power move or whatever it was. But then we got the realization that Wanda has actually been putting the runes up during that final fight, and she has absorbed Agatha's powers, which I don't know if it's a good thing or if that could be more problematic, because we already know she can't control the hex magic, chaos magic, so how is it going to be with both of them? I also made a little note here of like, when did we learn ruins? When did we learn how to do those? I know we got it in the little basement cave, like the rules of it, but like, how does Wanda know it? So that was just a little weird part. We got the full costume reveal finally. Looks dope as hell. That was very cool. I made a note here. Is she the villain? Because she's absorbing all this dark magic. Is she the villain? Just made a note of that early on. Agatha also mentioned she doesn't know what she's done by absorbing it. So there's that. Agatha loses. She's now stuck in Westview as her caricature, I guess you could say. So that's taken care of. Nice they didn't kill her off. I don't know if they'll ever bring her back. Excuse me, probably not, but nice to know that the potential is still there because she was a cool villain to deal with. If she does get brought back, I wonder, like with obviously Wanda absorbing her powers or her magic, would she be able to come back? Would that be just like a relearning thing, or I don't know. That's why I think probably not coming back, because that's a whole nother complicated issue, but we'll see. After this fight concluded, I made a note of maybe she's going to go to Doctor Strange to learn these powers, because we know Wanda is in the Doctor Strange multiverse movie, so I was wondering about that. So we get the tying of the knots at the end, nice little finish. Monica and Scarlet are talking. Everybody of the town's kind of still pissed at Wanda, which isn't super great, so she's going to zoom off. But it seems like she doesn't realize that she did something to Monica at all, like the power-wise, like affected her. So that's interesting how we didn't even like acknowledge that, I guess. So yeah, as we were kind of leading up to the finish with the bubble absorbing, I was curious if she was going to keep the house in just the bubble, so her family was there. But then I was like, I don't know if that's really a good idea. Like, obviously she's very connected to Vision, that she's projected out, and the kids. Would it be smart to live this double life in the bubble, out the bubble? Like, that seems really probably a bad decision overall. So I said, prep the waterworks, which indeed it got very sad. We said bye to the kids. We got Vision and her saying their goodbyes. I was curious as to why Vision didn't tell her what happened with White Vision of the transferring of the memories. Why not say, hey, like they kind of hint at it a little bit with like, we'll say hello again kind of thing, but why didn't he just be like, hey, I'm out there, we'll find each other? Like, bro, you're just leaving her in this mystery thinking you're dying again. Like, I don't know. So that's going to be a whole nother thing if and when they finally do reunite, come back together. Like, how is she going to react to that? But I was just like, why why are you not just saying this? So yeah, she's back to being hated, similar to other movies that she's been in. She's kind of been this outlier. Like, yes, she is a hero, but she causes problems, like we saw once again in Age of Ultron with Sokovia blowing up. Or, sorry, it wasn't Age of Ultron. It was Civil War with that opening scene with Crossbones, how she threw the bomb up, unfortunately, at like an embassy building or something like that. So she's kind of got this chip on her shoulder, which is unfortunate again. So yeah, I thought it was good overall. I thought it tied everything nice and neatly together. I really only had those two kind of things about it, but I thought it was good overall. I'm interested to see how they bring back New Vision once again, and Wanda's eventual learning of him being alive, essentially, with the memories and whatnot. We got the 2 post-credit scenes now. So, we got an interesting one. We got first Monica's scene. Jimmy and Monica getting back reunited. Hey, good mission. Darcy's just gone, apparently going somewhere. Hayward's arrested. And then we get a random lady being like, hey, Monica, we need you in the theater. Why the theater of all places? And like no question mark from Monica, like, oh yeah, that's fine. So we get that, and we get a scroll. So it seems like they were either hinting at Miss Marvel 2 with that, and how that's going to go into space and then go see Fury, I'm assuming, in the scrolls, or if it's going to go with Secret Invasion, like we talked about, how that's kind of Nick Fury's Disney Plus series, explaining that. So we got that little fun teaser for that. So Monica's going to be continuing her story, and then we got our second post credits, the really big one. So we got a very scenic environment with a cottage. We got Wanda hanging out making tea. And then we round the corner into this room, and she's in full costume, and she has the Book of Death, or whatever the fuck book this is, and she's just zipping through it. Once again, is she the villain? Everything is pointing to it. As she's reading this book, you can hear the kids, Wiccan and Speed, crying out for mom in the background. So apparently, like, obviously it's still in her mind, in her psyche, bothering her. Is she going to try and bring the kids back? Is she, like, this seems like such a big issue of, like, you are not better like I thought you should be at this point. Like, yeah, there's a lot of sad stuff that happened, but it seemed like she had grown in this episode to kind of accept it and move forward. But now she's looking through this book, and obviously we hear the kids in that scene. It is not looking good. So I have a feeling, because I was thinking maybe when we zoomed in on the cottage, like it was going to show Doctor Strange and they were studying together or something, but like he didn't show up at all in this series. We got the note, like I said, of the Sorcerer Supreme thing earlier. Why? I don't know if she's thought to reach out to him to teach her this stuff, because officially a witch now, so that magic line. But man, that does not bode well. So at the moment, I'm still thinking Wanda is going to be the villain in Doctor Strange Multiverse, whatever the hell. It's going to be interesting to see how this goes. I'm interested to hear what you guys thought of the finale. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the effects of the book and her studying kind of impacts her going forward, because yeah, that's the next movie we're going to see her in. Is she going to be fine, and then something in there triggers her, or is she going to maybe learn about multiverses from the book, and then she's got to try and go pluck them out of another universe to bring them to this one? And that's what brings the issue with Doctor Strange kind of coming in. It's a lot of questions up in the air. Similar to how we've talked with the remainder of these episodes. You get a couple of things solved, and then all these other questions kind of come up. But it was exciting. The post-credits were exciting for both. Obviously, Doctor Strange, I think, is going to happen sooner than Captain Marvel or Miss Marvel 2, which we'll talk about soon. So we'll get a little bit more resolution quicker on that, I suppose. But it's going to be interesting to see. So yeah, that's my thoughts on WandaVision and the finale. Overall, I thought the series did very well. I know early on when we talked about it, we were kind of confused about the presentation aspect of it. But as the events continued and we got more of the story elements of like what's going overall, who's pulling the strings, the conflict, stuff like that. Like it was those first 2 episodes were the incline of the roller coaster, and then it started to just go down and do all the fun stuff and the loops and whatnot. So I know early on I mentioned it to some people in my Discord, like it was very niche, it seemed. Like, you might not enjoy it if you're not really that big into Marvel, but I think once you kind of get the ball rolling, it is definitely something entertaining that you can get out of it. It's not just like the nitty gritty stuff that like, oh, you're only really gonna appreciate if you're a Marvel fan. And I mean, there's elements of it, but I think overall, as a show, there's something you can find out of it to enjoy, even if it's just like simply this one story. If you don't get the references here and there, like, yeah, you might miss out on stuff like the Quicksilver stuff, but overall, I think you could still enjoy it, which is good. I'm glad that it got the momentum there. I guess it needed, or storytelling, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know, but I'm glad it did that. It's going to be interesting going forward to see how the rest of the series play out on Disney Plus. Obviously, this one had the interesting element of the mystery-esque type stuff. So, like, I think it has more intrigue there with the mystery element, and the rest at the moment doesn't seem like that. Maybe Loki's will be that way, but I think Falcon and Winter Soldier would maybe be a little bit more straightforward. That might be more action-orientated. So it's going to be interesting to see how compelling of a series they are from here on out. Let's see, Mary Bear says, I was wondering why Agatha's fingers were black-tipped and why her face was very hollow with bad. I was assuming it was just her using more of her powers. Like, obviously we saw Wanda's hands go dark as well, but that was from her magic getting absorbed throughout the fight. So I was just assuming it was that dark magic that she had kind of going. I mean, even when the episodes were colorized and we kind of progressed that way, you could see Agatha kind of getting more darker. Like, her hair got darker as we progressed, and even a little gray. I'm not sure if you noticed that, but it might be her just using more of her magic in the moment there. Yeah, that would be my best guess as to why that happened. And then obviously towards the end of the fight with her powers getting taken away, like, that was the result in that appearance. But that was my thought towards that. But yeah, good show. Good times. Like I said, I'm interested to hear what you guys thought of it overall. So yeah, let me know. I'm always down to talk more of it. And like I said, hopefully going forward, the rest of the series can keep up the momentum and quality, which I assume they can. I mean, it's Disney, and you know, they're doing pretty well so far with their Disney Plus shows. I mean, we talked about Mandalorian in the past, how that's very good and accessible to non-Star Wars fans, or at least has the element of like entertainment. And then this one obviously has done well too. So I don't know, Marvel hasn't had a lot of misses, so hopefully they can keep this momentum going for themselves and keep up that storytelling. But speaking of Marvel, we're going to move on to topic 2, and we're going to talk the future of the MCU. So yeah, we got a lot of movies and shows coming up. Going back to last topic. Let's see, what did Mary Bear say? Okay, in White Vision, I hope he flew away to collect his thoughts. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he just took on all these memories just at one time. So yeah, I assume he's got a soul search, for lack of a better term. I'm trying to think of recollect his thoughts. Maybe that's just what it is. Like you said, yeah, he's got to think it all over, kind of reacclimate himself to all these things that have happened to him that he didn't remember happened to him. So yeah, at some point they got to come back together. It's going to be interesting of how that affects them and when it happens. Like, is it going to happen as soon as Doctor Strange, if she's the villain, to talk her down, or is it going to be a while before we see him again? Because we have no idea where he went. No idea at all. So, MCU, we got a lot of things going on. We're talking movies, we're talking shows for this Phase 4. So based on this Wikipedia article I found, Marvel Cinematic Universe, we got, holy shit, a lot of films. That's a big phase. We got Black Widow. We got Shang-Chi and the Legend of Ten Rings. We got Eternals. We got Spider-Man No Way Home, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Thor Love and Thunder, Black Panther 2, Captain Marvel 2, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, Blade, and Fantastic Four. And then for TV series on Disney Plus rather, we got WandaVision, which concluded, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, the What If series, Miss Marvel, Hawkeye, Moon Knight, She-Hulk, Secret Invasion, Ironheart, Armor Wars, I Am Groot, and a Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. Jeez, a lot of content, a lot of things, going on. So we kind of talked about it last podcast. We were talking WandaVision 7 and 8. It's going to be interesting to see how they juggle all these characters and how the general audience, the casual audience, is going to absorb all this information. We talked about it in the first 3 phases. There's lots that happen. Phase 1 was pretty straightforward. We got, 6 heroes or something like that. And we got some side characters, but, they were, at that point, secondary. You could know about them, but if you didn't, you weren't missing much. Phase 2, obviously, we added more, probably double of that, and obviously expanded some stories of the original 6. And then by phase 3, we just kept adding layers of like more heroes. And it's interesting to see at Infinity War, at Endgame, like how everybody's, like, for the most part, it seemed like people could keep it straightforward, but there was still a lot of, like, I know I was talking with people who had a lot of questions, and it was like they're trying to keep everything straight, like, oh, so are these Spider-Mans with Tobey Maguire part of it, or Andrew Garfield, or the X-Men involved over here? Like, obviously those are different studios doing their movies, but like you get just more and more layers on top of it. Does it get more confusing? So with phase 4, like we just listed all those different shows and movies, is it going to get too convoluted for the general casual audience, which could be a problem, obviously, because I mean, right now these movies and series are making a lot of money, right? A lot of eyes are on them. If you get too convoluted and confusing, probably going to have some drop off. And while the content's still good for people who are invested in the comics, the movies, and really doing the deep dive lore, studying, looking up things, or just like have read the comics in the past, like that's great. You're doing a fan service to them, but is too much fan service a bad thing, essentially? So it's going to be interesting going forward to see how they lay out everything across the board to kind of present it to a general audience so it's not too confusing. I hope that makes sense. Just a little concerning there, because I mean, once again, going back to the first 3 phases, if you want to watch all the way to Endgame, that's 21 movies if you're doing chronological, or you're getting all the info for that. That's a lot. That's a lot of time, a lot of info being thrown at you. Let's say, they're each 2 hours apiece. That's 42 hours of content, which, if that was 1 or 2 characters, like, you could really know the story of so-and-so, but you got a plethora of cast. You got your primary characters, your secondary characters. You got these people that show up once in a while. You got this villain's connected to this villain. This guy's connected to this guy. This guy doesn't like this person. It's just a whole shit show of information that you got to keep in track. And now we're adding a whole layer of this cake. Whole layer of this cake. If not another. To just fucking weave this web of information. And, so far, like I said in the last topic, so far it seems like they have been able to do that where, like, this is Captain America. This is his story. And there's elements of, like, this will tie into this movie. This will tie into this movie. But, like, it's its own separate film. Winter Soldier was a film. You can enjoy it. You don't need to know what Thor did over here to get this. You might need for the little teeny tiny things, but each movie has done a good job of being its own thing. The only movie that might have been too much weaving of the web because they were trying to set up too much shit is Age of Ultron, which is why probably out of the Avenger films, people have it out of the bottom of their list, because there was a lot of information being thrown at us and set up. So, yeah, hopefully they can keep that storytelling how it's been going, where they keep everything separate and kind of like bite-sized chunks. And then from there, afterwards, if you really wanted to go, you could be like, oh, well, this thing references this. which might lead to this. Similar, once again, to how we're talking about WandaVision affecting Doctor Strange. Is she going to be a good guy? Is she going to be a bad guy? Is Vision going to be in it? All these things. So many questions. So, it's going to be interesting there off the bat. Second thing that makes this a little bit more interesting. Black Widow, with the pandemic, has been delayed oodles of times. This movie was supposed to come out, I believe, May? Something like that. This movie's already supposed to be out, and it's not, clearly. They're very set in their ways of having a theatrical release. I don't know why. I guess I get it money-wise why. But, like, at this point, is it worth delaying everything to have this? As far as I know, obviously Black Widow has been set and ready to go. I think Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is done and ready to go. Eternals might also be ready to go. Spider-Man must be close because it's due next Christmas. I don't know about Doctor Strange. Thor, I think we had our first set photo of Natalie Portman looking jacked, so they're working on it. The rest, obviously, is up in the air. When is it time to call it and just pull the plug and put that on Disney Plus, or just like put it out there in the world, similar how Disney has done with Mulan and Soul and now Raya the Last Dragon, even though that's at a premium price? You could do that. Like, why not release Black Widow on Disney Plus for a premium price? People would buy it. I'd buy it. I know I would. Like, when is the time? Because obviously there's still things going forward. We had WandaVision come out. The Disney Plus shows are showing no sign of slowing down, delays, whatever. After this Friday, as of recording, WandaVision behind the scenes, the next Friday we roll right into Falcon and Winter Soldier. After that series is done, I believe it goes into the What If series. Then it goes into the Loki series. Then it goes into Miss Marvel, I think. Don't quote me on that. Like, they're just going, like, full force. Which is fine, because once again, if they're keeping everything separate, bite-sized pieces, it's not going to be like, oh shit, I needed to see Black Widow to understand Loki. That's the weirdest connection I can make, because they're nowhere near alike. But, like, just based on their original plan, what was their timeline, what references, what kind of thing, it's interesting. Because so far the game plan has worked that Feige and the others have set up and worked on. Is it worth pushing certain things back to mess with that plan, if that makes sense? So, another interesting aspect there of the delays. So yeah, we got a lot of things happening here. Out of the films, new character wise, at least from the just the marquee movie name, we got Shang-Chi, we got the Eternals, technically Thor, because that's Lady Thor, Blade, and Fantastic Four. So we'll have 5 movies that are another layer of the cake of new people. And then the rest are returns, which we got sequels for Black Widow, prequel, whatever, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, Guardians, and Ant-Man. So 7 sequels. So we get a little bit layer of the cake, and then obviously we'll have all the side characters and whatnot, so you got to pepper on that layer of new characters as well. Obviously we'll have the Black Widow characters, which we've seen a little bit of, and her sister, and the Red Patriot, is that his name? David Hayter, is that his name? The guy from Stranger Things, whoever his character is, along with, I think there's another one. But we have them. Black Panther 2, we have to figure out what's going on there, obviously, unfortunately, with Chadwick Boseman passing. Like, what's the plan there? We going Shuri, we going a whole different route. They're saying they're not recasting Black Panther, so like his specific T'Challa, so it's going to be interesting to see who takes up the mantle or how they tell that story. then Guardians, I don't know. We might get another one. So far, we've added more to the team each time they show up, or at least in their main movies. So there's that. And then as for the TV series, let's see. We got, out of just names, WandaVision, Falcon, Winter Soldier, Loki, Secret Invasion, and I Am Groot. So technically 5 returning there, from what I can guess. And then we'll have the What If series is its own thing, so I'm not going to count that. We've Miss Marvel, not Carol Danvers. That's going to be Kamala Khan, if you watched our Marvel Square Enix playthrough. So it's Kamala doing that. We got Hawkeye, which is going to be Kate Bishop, which technically we've seen with the Hawkeye daughter in Endgame. We have Moon Knight, we have She-Hulk, we got Ironheart, which I don't know specifically what that's about, along with Armor Wars. So those will be new as well. So there's 7 new characters in play, at least in the TV series. So hopefully we'll get more in depth with them because we'll have more time. I mean, WandaVision had 9 episodes, ranging from like a half hour to 50 minutes each. So let's just make this simple on ourselves. 9 times 30, 270 minutes. So yeah, you get a lot of time to hopefully learn about these each individual new characters. And same with the film, you'll be able to, but this will be more time. So hopefully it can help with that layer of new characters. As for what I'm excited about from both the movie standpoint and the TV show standpoint, personally, I'm really looking forward to the What If series on Disney Plus. It's completely separate in a way from the MCU. I don't think it's going to tie in at all. All it is hypotheticals similar to the comic What If series. If we've seen from the previews before, what if Haley Atwell's character of Peggy Carter, what if she was Captain America instead of Steve Rogers? What if this thing happened instead of this thing? So I think it's going to be fun one-off stories that will, be their own thing. So I think it'd just be a fun, entertaining half hour or whatever it is of this. And it's all animated. It's still voiced by all the actors and actresses, so that's fun. I think that'll just be a fun one overall. Another one I'm looking forward to for the Disney Plus side is the Loki series. So it seems he's in like some time prison thing. Confusing. And he's doing some misadventures there. This one has my appeal the most because it's not the Loki that we know best. It's not the Loki that we have traveled through with Thor 1, Thor 2, Thor 3, obviously Avengers 1, and Infinity War. It's not that Loki. It's a Loki from a separate timeline of Avengers 1, where we've seen he's gotten the Tesseract and he's zipped away and didn't get taken back to Asgard for Dark World, etc. past that point. So following this Loki, who hasn't had this turn of heart to be a good guy, quote unquote, what is he going to do? Like, obviously he's still going to be very selfish and whatnot, and it's back to this more mischievous, yeah, I'm saying that right, mischievous character in him and how he's going to tackle that. So very interested in that. Obviously I'm interested in some new characters showing up in their series. Moon Knight's going to be an interesting one. I know Electric Wizrobe and I have talked about him in the past and how cool he can be. Movie wise, probably to no one's surprise, just because of all the rumors that have flown about this film, and B Hank is probably on my side too, is Spider-Man No Way Home. I don't remember exactly when it was. I believe it was over the summer, but there was just rumors dropping of like, so-and-so's in the movie, like Doctor Strange is in the movie, oh, Tobey Maguire's in the movie, oh, Andrew Garfield's in the movie, oh, fucking the guy who played Dr. Octopus is in the movie. Like, just all these things came out, and it got so crazy, and to a point I'm like, you know what, I'm not going to believe any of these. I think it's all bullshit, it's all baloney. I'm just going to go into this film as blank slate as possible. I know Spider-Man Peter Parker's in it, Tom Holland. I know Jacob, whoever the best friend is, I know he's in the movie. I know Zendaya's in the movie. That's it. I know these three, and I'm going forward with it. Anything that happens in this film, anything that happens in that first trailer that drops, I'm going to love it, I'm going to enjoy it, and I'm going to be surprised by it at that moment. So I think Spider-Man No Way Home has my most excitement movie-wise. The rest, obviously, I'll look forward to as we get closer, but I think that's the one that has me the most excited and looking forward to. Following up with WandaVision, technically, yeah, Doctor Strange also holds a high position for me amongst them of which ones I want to see, just because, once again, multiverse is getting involved potentially, especially with the title, but then how does Wanda tie in? Is she going to be the big bad, or is she just going to be like, hey, I'm here to help type thing? So it's going to be interesting how that flows overall. Maybe there are things that for Black Panther they'll do the sister. Shuri, yeah. I could definitely see that route. That seems like the best, maybe not the best, but it seems like the most likely of route. Like, hey, you're taking up your brother's mantle. I could definitely see that, and I'd be totally fine with that. Totally fine with that. It's just a matter of time, obviously, they're figuring out, I'm assuming they got to rewrite that movie a whole lot because Chadwick's not involved. So, like, how do you take his character and continue it? So whoever does take the mantle, whether it is Shuri or Killmonger's been tossed out there, but that would be odd just because he was a villain. Like, what would explain his turn of heart unless it was like, man, this guy has been what he did in Infinity War, what he did in Endgame, like how he's fought back for Wakanda and for the planet, like would that have turned him? Which it could, but it's going to be interesting. Only time will tell of how they're going to rework it type thing. But there's obviously still elements there that they need to tell or have connected to this universe. And, you know, maybe they need to rewrite it. So unfortunately, they don't have another Black Panther movie. Maybe Shuri just shows up like here and there to help or whatever. But I don't know. I think they'll rework it so they'll keep the movie, obviously. But there must be story elements still there that they must need to tell. So it's going to be interesting. That movie's not due for, I think it was 2022 originally. Yeah, 22 originally. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. Yeah, there's a lot of content coming out. I hope they can keep it all, like I said, these bite-sized chunks just so everybody can kind of keep along with the story. Obviously afterwards, you know, the studying and the looking things up and kind of these conversations that we've been having are all good, but I don't want it to be too much that people get frustrated because of all the information that's being thrown at them that doesn't make sense. Like, you know, there's a certain level of intrigue and frustration. Like, there's that balance you need to play, like the scale. If things are too convoluted and confusing, drop off. If it's too simple and not interesting enough, drop off. You got to find that intricate balance of like, this is entertaining and I want to know more. Like, that delicate balance that everything needs to do. Similar to, okay, I'll equate it to another series that has a lot of characters that you need to know, but has a compelling enough story that you stick around and you want to know more about it. It's Game of Thrones. Now, I know Game of Thrones didn't finish off super strong, and a lot of people don't like it. Fine, whatever. But that's a series I believe did a very good job of balance. There was a lot of characters, and, you know, me especially, Lady knows this, I was asking so many questions. Wait, who's that guy? Who's this person? Who are they connected to this? But the story was compelling enough that I just kept wanting to watch. Go, 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 go. So far, the MCU has done a great job of that with the first 3 phases. I'm just hoping it continues, especially with more and more players being added along. So we'll have to see. But yeah, looking forward to the MCU. Looking forward to more content, more fun conversations with you guys. Like I talked about, we'll be doing the Disney Plus series, talking about Falcon and Winter Soldier, talking about what ifs, talking about like all of them week to week, because I've been enjoying these conversations with you guys. So it'd be a fun chat to keep along with those. Moving on to topic 3, I want to talk a little bit about AEW Revolution. As of recording, it happened last night. Pay-per-view happened. It was fun. It was a good event. I have a lot of different thoughts about the card and some things that did happen throughout the night. So similar to anything, I took notes. I'll try not to deep dive too long and kind of wallow on it, I guess you could say. But it was a fine show overall. Very entertaining. I thought the pace of the show worked out very well. Like I said, there was some great moments, some not some great moments. But yeah, we'll just run through everything right now, my quick thoughts on all the matches, and we'll talk about the things we want to talk about. So we had the pre-show, the buy-in match. We had Thunder Rosa and Riho against Britt Baker, and the surprising entrant of Maki Ito. I haven't seen Ito at all. I know she was in the women's qualifier tournament on the Japan side of the bracket. She seems entertaining. Seems like people were excited to see her. Did not expect her to be a heel, but it worked. It was a solid match. Good match for the buy-in. Heels win. I was wondering if maybe this was because Rosa was going to be out or on her way out of AEW with NWA picking back up. But as we see later on the card, that doesn't seem to be the case unless Wednesday is the farewell with the 3-on-3 ladies tag match. So good start to the match. Yeah, ladies look good, look strong. So we kick off the show. We start with our opening match. It's the Young Bucks versus Jericho and MJF for the AEW tag titles. It was a fine match. Seemed like some of the moves were a little telegraphed, or like they waited for things to happen and then they happened. Like that seemed a little off, but it was all right. Young Bucks come out victorious with this match, and we'll see later in the night that the Inner Circle are going to have a chat on Wednesday. Kind of alludes a little bit to MJF kind of fucking the group up a little bit more and breaking them up, which is going to be interesting to see on Wednesday how that plays out. There was one negative I had about the match itself. It was, so Jericho introduced his bat into the match while the referee was distracted. I believe he hit Matt Jackson, hit him in the back, and we got the false finish of, the weapon, and will the Young Bucks be able to break out? That was kind of middle of the match that happened. I kind of thought that should have been saved towards the end. Do the false finish dramatic, oh God, is he going to kick out? He got hit with the weapon, and then go right into the finish. But having it mid-match just seemed odd pacing-wise. They were doing a good job, build up, and then I think one of the Young Bucks was hurt or injured. And then we do this bat spot, but then they kept going for another 5 or so minutes. It just seemed odd placement, storytelling-wise. But once again, what do I know? I'm not a wrestler, but it just seemed out of place and weird. I thought it would have benefited a little bit more if it was towards the end to kind of build up that drama instead of flat, spike, back down, and then smooth sailing from there. But just my opinion on that. Second match, we rolled into the Casino tag match Battle Royale, which I actually thought was a lot of fun. Yes, I know it was essentially a Royal Rumble for tag teams, but you know what? I was totally fine with it, and I was entertained. Strong finish, very strong finish for Jungle Boy and the Death Triangle. I was really hoping Jungle Boy was going to pull it through. Obviously, he did not. Death Triangle wins with, I think it was Ray Phoenix being the last one in there. Seems like they're building Jungle Express and Jungle Boy as like almost like a Daniel Bryan level, or like David versus Goliath thing, like really pushing them down, because everybody loves that team, it seems. But like just setback after setback, and then eventually when they decide like this is their push, this is when they're going to win it all, whether it be the tag titles or whatever it is, like it's going to pay off that much more, which is why I can understand the result and get behind it. But yeah, I was really hoping that Jungle Boy was going to be able to pull out the win there and the finish. And I think something that maybe would have helped that along the way was the entrance of teams. So going back to the first match, we had Jericho and MJF enter first, right? And you have the crowd doing Jericho's song of Judas and singing along, whatever. They love that. They love the fan interaction. Why did we not have Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus start this match? Tony Khan shelled out how much money for that song for the crowd to go, oh, 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 and sing along with the, whatever that song name is. I don't remember. Yet you put them halfway into this thing and they cut off the music just as the sing-along part was going to happen. Totally odd choice. Why not have them start the match, get that little crowd interaction of the song, have some fun with it, and then if you flipped it and you wanted Jungle Boy to win, do everything the same, but because he started at the beginning and then push that far to the end and then have him win, imagine the payoff there. Like, it's the typical Rumble thing, like like Edge just did. Start at the beginning, finishes it. So just some little things that I was like, you kind of just missed it there. And even if they did the result the exact same way, like, that's a bigger setback. Like, look at what Jungle Boy did. He was there the whole time, but he just couldn't finish that little last teeny part. Like, just unfortunate. So we had that going on. Other things that we had happen in the match, we had QT Marshall and Dustin Rhodes, a little drama. Seems like they're breaking up. Confusing to me. Now, I don't watch AEW from week to week just because I can't because of work schedule, and I don't watch it DVR or on demand or whatever. I don't watch it week to week. I catch Dark usually, and I'll check the results for the rest of AEW on Twitter, etc. Are they on TV all that much? From my knowledge, they're not. So it's very confusing that they're going with this storyline now. Like, why not have them around on TV a little bit more, doing more, and then have this? I get it, like, why it happens, of, like, the elements they showed of, like, hey, I'm eliminating these people. Hey, we're trying to win the tag titles or get a shot. It doesn't matter who's in our group, not in our group, etc. We should be focused here. I get that. It just seems odd because I don't know if they're on TV all that much and, like, why we're breaking up the team now type thing. But it is what it is. So we got the setup there. And then a random question. Was Top Flight supposed to be in this match? I could have swore they were billed or booked for it earlier, like weeks ago. I saw one of the Top Flight guys, I think the younger brother, out in the crowd at one point. So I don't know if maybe his brother's injured, but I was just like, I thought you guys are supposed to be in this because I thought that was their pay-per-view debut. Unless that was the last pay-per-view, but I don't think so because I don't think they were around for that one. But just a thought they were part of it. Moving on to the ladies. I think that was the next match. I might be wrong with the order here, but anyways, the ladies, we had Ryo and Hikaru Shida going for the AEW Women's Championship. I thought it was a good match by the ladies. This one was a solid one, hard hitting. Good match overall. Sets up Wednesday once again with 3v3. I'm wondering who is taking down Shida. Do they have to bring someone else in, similar to, like, a Thunder Rosa obviously brought her in, but she hasn't. Did she fight Shida? She did once, right? Like, who are we bringing in? Is it somebody from Impact we're going to bring in? Is it somebody from New Japan, even though that doesn't seem to work right now with the Japanese tournament, even though I don't know if those ladies are signed for New Japan. Like, there has to be some big outside talent or somebody big, essentially, that we're, like, building, not her up, but, like, that has to take her down. She's a very steep mountain to climb right now, it seems, because she's held on to that belt for quite a long time. So it's going to be interesting to see who that person is. You think it's going to be Jade Cargill? That, maybe. She's got the look. She's got the charisma. Maybe. I don't personally connect with Jade, but then again, she's a heel. That's kind of the point. Also, she's only fought in one match so far. It will be interesting to see where they go from this Shaq match, how they progress with her. It seems like obviously they were setting up her and Brandy. Obviously, Brandy's doing her thing now, starting the family. So, unless maybe they do go with Jade, like you're saying, they have Jade beat Sheeta, and then maybe once Brandy's back and ready, maybe they have their storyline and either Brandy wins or whatever. That could be interesting. That's a good candidate. I think just right now I'm having a tough time believing that. Sounds bad, but getting behind it just because of the only one match we've seen with her. If they continue to push her and she's, taking on other talent and she's picking up momentum, then yeah, I'm all for it. Because once again, she's got a look, she's got the charisma. It's just at this point the experience aspect, I guess you could say, of it is lacking. One tiny thing I wish they not fixed but changed with this match. One thing I wish they changed with this match, I'm not sure if you guys noticed it, but after the attack, Rio was doing like a big bow almost to Sheeta, like just full respect, like we went to the edge and yes, you beat me. And then Rosa was obviously right there trying to hand the belt back to Sheeta. I wish they did that moment before the attack of Britt Baker and Rebel and Maki. I wish they had that moment before and kind of like stretched it out. Sometimes I think AEW kind of rushes a little bit too much and like what's next, if that makes sense. I wish they had that moment. Then you can do all the setup for the next Wednesday in the attack. Just a small change I would have done there. Bob Griff also mentions Big Swole. Big Swole I could get behind. I think she had a moment on Dark on Saturday, the special Dark, where she was very focused and being like, I've been sitting in the back seat for too long. I'm coming for gold. I think that was her comment. I don't know if Superman is in the chat. Maybe he could correct me. But Swole I could get behind. I like Swole. She's got a charisma to her too. That could be fun. Red Velvet killed it on Wednesday too. Yeah, both of the ladies did really, really well. I think you keep building her up as well. She could definitely fit into at least that top echelon of the ladies' talent, which I think is a move that since the last time we've talked to AEW specifically with Sam and Steve, that was a big thing they were lacking on was the ladies' talent. Not that they didn't have the numbers, but like that they didn't have the what's the word, credibility maybe, or like believability. So I think they're doing better with building them up. So yeah, both Jade and Red Velvet obviously Wednesday with each other working well, and then yeah, Swole's been gaining momentum. I know on Dark she's been having a lot of matches, so if you could do that, that'd be great. You'll have Chris Statlander back at some point too. Yeah, I don't know how her recovery is going. I think she's up and walking around because she's been on BTE lately, but obviously being on a behind-the-scenes show is not the same as being in the ring. So yeah, if you get her back too, that adds another element. And then I don't know what Awesome Kong's doing, but obviously adding her in, and then Nyla's already there. Like, we're getting there. We're getting a strong division, which is great that they're building upon that. Because once again, that was a big worry of like, this is a lacking point. And if we're going to keep over the crossover content with Impact, with New Japan potentially, that's just more people we can add in. We can add a Deonna Purrazzo. We can add a crap, what's her name? The Decay girl. I don't know. We could have Su Yung, who's another one. Like, you have this other talent. Jordan Grace is over there. So it could just add more fun to it. And Rose has been a big piece of it as well. Rosemary, thank you. ODB as well. Yes. Yeah, so like, you just keep adding these other elements, this other talent. It could just be better. Just keeps adding to it. Once again, I'm not 100% on the order of these matches, guys, so I apologize if they're out of order. But next one I had is Hardy and Page, the big money match. I thought this one was fine. I like the idea of going the psychology going after the buckshot lariat hand with the damage with the stairs and then the submissions and whatnot. I thought that was good storytelling. The interference by Private Party, as to be expected. Same with Dark Order being the evening force, as to be expected. So we had Paige going over, gets the first quarter earnings for Matt Hardy. It's going to be interesting to see the aftermath of that with Hardy towards, I assume, Private Party. He's been shitting on them whenever things go wrong. So it'll be interesting to see the aftermath of that. And then, once again, we get the teaser. Is Paige going to join Dark Order? Is this going to just be like, hey, Dark Order's going to fanboy every time? I don't know the route with it. It's just something to watch and keep an eye on. Surprised no -1 appearance at all. Not going to lie. But yeah, thought that was fine. Fine overall. Then we go to our next match of Chucky T and Orange Cassidy against Sabin and Miro. This match was kind of like, to me, it was a low point. Not because it was bad, but they didn't do much. Just seemed to be a Miro coming out party, which isn't a bad thing. I have nothing against that. I just don't know if it needed to be on the pay-per-view, if that makes sense. They were hinting at it with obviously Miro's dominating performance, but then also I think he put Penelope in danger and she got hurt at some point. So I'm not sure if this is just him breaking away once again as his own thing, away from Kip and Penelope, which once again it could be fine. And you could still use the best man gimmick, not obviously the wedding terminology best man, but like I'm the best, man, or I'm the best man around. I don't know. You could pull it numerous ways. So I'm interested to see what the storytelling aspect of that is as well. I obviously saw the Chucky T attack in the back. I must have missed the Orange Cassidy stuff. I don't know if that was in the pay-per-view itself or maybe it was in the buy-in when he got attacked. But I was like, why is he not around? I don't know. So that one was fine. Nothing too great there. Then I think we had my second match of the night, which was the Face of the Revolution ladder match. We had 6-way. We had Cody Rhodes. We had Scorpio Sky. We had Lance Archer. We had Penta El Zero. We had Max Caster. And then we had our mystery entrant being All Ego Ethan Page. So he is now All Elite. I know we talked about him for potential of the Rumble just because his contract with Impact was up. So glad to see him in AEW. Going to be interesting to see what kind of an impact, no pun intended, that he makes on that program. But yeah, this match was a lot of fun. I think it was the first match of the night. I made a note here where I was actually like super invested in watching. The other ones I was kind of like, half and half. But interested to see that. A lot of fun with it. I think Max Caster is gaining more interest with me. The more I see him, the more traction. Good diss rap. And he's just entertaining overall. Glad for Scorpio to get the shot on Wednesday. We'll have to see if he's able to take the TNT title away from Darby, but glad to see he's in that position again, especially from splitting from SCU. Not in a bad way, just seems he's been doing his own thing. So there's that. And then also I was wondering, is Scorpio supposed to be heel now, or has he just got a different attitude? He's kind of seemed a little dickish at points. So yeah, solid match for the Face of the Revolution ladder match. We go on to our mystery Hall of Fame caliber signee talent, and oh boy, it was a big one. We got Christian Cage signing with AEW. Big countdown and everything. As soon as the music hit, I had to take a double take. I was like, this sounds really familiar. Holy shit, it's Christian. I recognized it. Then the name came up after Outwork Everyone. Interesting. I don't know why we needed this segment because all he literally did was sign a contract and then put it in the middle of the ring. He didn't even have a setup or anything. Whatever. Interesting one. I'm wondering if WWE knew prior, and if so, good on them for not being bitter and having him back anyway. If not, I wonder how the reaction is now. Papa Griff says the same thing. So why Vince McMahon would bring him back for the big Rumble appearance and not sign him? I would just think it was a one-off thing. Like, I never thought Christian was going to sign personally. I thought it was just a fun surprise. But yes, that is interesting. If they knew about the AEW stuff, like maybe that's why they didn't sign him. Why have him in the Rumble? Once again, if they did know and they still had him in and they weren't bitter, that's great. Very happy for that. Maybe it's just to take the super big surprise element out of it, to be like, oh, we can get this moment, and then when he goes there, it will be a little bit less. Maybe that's the big brain of it. I don't know. But, it gave that good moment at the Rumble of Edge and him. But yeah, it's going to be interesting seeing what Christian does going forward with the company. Obviously, he's back wrestling. Great. Glad for that. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. So, big surprise there. I think that it was the biggest, just a holy shit, because he was literally the Rumble 2 months ago or whatever it was. So, good for him. Glad he's better. Glad he's able to wrestle, do his thing. Match of the night next for me was Darby and Sting versus Cage and Starks. He's using the Christian Cage name. And he's got the TNA theme that he had back in the day in 06 and whatever timeline that was. So yeah, we got Darby and Sting versus Cage and Starks. It was a cinematic match. My favorite match of the night. A lot of production value went into it. I thought it looked fantastic. A couple awkward cuts where you could tell things were obviously swapped. There's that lifting powerbomb of Sting going into the Destroyer-esque type thing. That was a cut, but that was good. We obviously had Team FTW showing up with Hook and Will Hobbs, as to be expected. I think everybody still looks strong in this. I think it was smart for Sting, obviously being his first real match back, so they could play it safe if anything went wrong. Like, obviously, you have these angles and whatnot, or the production value to be like, wait, no, stop, let's do that again. I think that was good. I think it was smart with him and Starks going up against each other, and then smart for Darby and Cage to go against each other, because, like I said, once again, it makes everybody look strong. Starks probably looks the lowest at this point, but I don't personally think anything less of Starks with this. He was playing his role. Sting gets a lot of shots in, looks good for him. He looks strong in his return. Cage looks strong with the power moves against Darby because he can toss him with no second thought about it. And then obviously Darby looks strong being the underdog and the small guy fighting this big monster of a dude. So I thought that looked good overall. We had some good spots, some cool spots with the glass pane, Darby being thrown in there, and then we had the window jump onto Cage. I was concerned that Sting was going to get thrown out that window too, similar to commentary team. But obviously that didn't happen. So I thought that match was great. One question I did have about it, was the referee really necessary to follow around? Occasionally we would see him in the background, or even in the foreground, just walking around with the talent. And it's like, why are you around? I guess so you're not just standing in the ring waiting, but I don't know, just seemed odd. Just seemed odd. But that was a great match. Love that one. Then we get to our main event, the exploding barbed wire death match. Kenny Omega versus Jon Moxley. It was a good match, hard hitting. Did well with the storytelling, I thought, and the pacing of teasing the explosions and preventing themselves from running into things to cause them. Rope explosions worked well, I thought. I mean, you could see that it's a separate line and the little flashy bombs that are on there. But I thought those explosions were satisfying and looked well. The triple hell markers were kind of cheesy. With the little pyro next to it, I thought they could have done a little bit better. Once again, I'm not a pyrotechnic expert at it anyway, but maybe presenting it a little better by maybe putting the smoke underneath it or having the explosions go out that way could have been better. But we only triggered one of that. One thing about the ropes that I really enjoyed that they did, there was a submission that Kenny had on Moxley at one point. I really love that Moxley kicked the ropes to cause an explosion to break the submission. I thought that was a really good moment of the match, really smart moment of the match. I thought that was fun, so I wanted to make sure I pointed that out. We had the Good Brothers come out. No surprise. Surprise nobody came out for Moxley at all. not the Young Bucks to try and stop it. I know they had the match earlier. No, like, death triangle. Nobody came out to Mox. Nobody cares. So I was a little surprised by that. It finished prior to the big boom, which I was a little sad for, because at that point in the match, I was really looking forward to seeing how that looked. Apparently the timer is still going after the end of the match, so now we're building up the drama of this big explosion happening. We have the production of the countdown, we have the production of the sounds, and everybody going crazy, and the guy's like, we need to get out of here. And then we get Eddie Kingston coming down, trying to save his friend, Jon Moxley. Apparently can't carry the man out of the ring. Goes to cover him because the timer's up. Everything's going to explode. And then we get what we got. We got a little sparkler show and some fireworks barely outside of the ring. Man, oh man, I really hope something went wrong. Because if that's what they had planned the whole time, oh God, I don't know. I don't know. I hope something went wrong. I hope they tested something before today or last night. If they did and that was the result, how was no one like, hey man, let's just cut the timer when the match ends? Or we need to rework that? That was bad. And the thing that makes it worse, not from a talent standpoint. The talent did exactly what they needed to do and were told to do for storytelling wise. The fact that Eddie Kingston was not answering to anything and selling it like he got shot or something by this pyro, affected in any way, just made it so much worse. I don't know what they could have done better. It just makes everybody look so stupid with how this played out. If they could have tried to save it, maybe by Eddie staying there, perhaps someone coming in and maybe like transferring a message to him to be like, hey, no sell it, be like questioning it, go what the fuck, like do that and act like it wasn't a big deal, and modifying it that way. I think that's the only way we could have saved that. You could hear it in the crowd. People were chanting refunds. People were booing. I think there might have been some bullshit chants. They were then not happy. And it's unfortunate because the match was really good leading up to that point. And unfortunately, this kind of takes everything away from it in a way, because this is what you're going to remember. Like, this is the first thing you talk, oh, the match, oh, yeah, it was shit at the end. It's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. Afterwards, on social media, apparently Moxley, they were still filming. Moxley went on microphone and kind of shit on Omega for the explosions. I'm fine with them attempting to save face and do this and recognize, hey, this was shit. Let's acknowledge it. I'm fine with that. However, it doesn't do, I think, what they intended to do of, like, once again, saving face fully, just because of the amount of selling that went into this and commitment to the bit prior. If they had played it off of, like, what was that? There was nothing. Are you okay, man? And Kingston getting up and trying to say, like, help Moxley up and whatnot, that would be fine. But the fact that this man is over there being attended to because apparently he's dead, not really, but he's affected that much, and then you're just going to go, well, I guess it wasn't that big an explosion. What? You're shitting on Kingston even more. Like, oh, I don't know. It's not a good look for AEW with this match, unfortunately. Just not at all. It's gonna be quite a boulder or something in the way. Yeah, man. I don't know. little note I had, if it was a mess up at pyrotechnics, I assume they can trigger it on and off, make everything like a fail-safe. Wouldn't it be odd, like, let's say, okay, there was supposed to be more pyro. Wouldn't it be odd that all these other people not protected are running down? You have Aubrey Edwards down there, you have doctors, you have this, you have that. Like Bryce Remsworth, I think was the ref, had that sleeve of his bomb suit pulled off, or flame retardant suit, whatever it was. He ran away, but now you have all these people with no protection coming in at the end of the match. Like, wouldn't that be a little dangerous if something didn't go off and then it does go off? But once again, I feel they would have that safe to be like, disengage. So maybe that's just me questioning it a little bit too much. But yeah, just a rough spot. Just a rough spot overall. So yeah, those are the matches and my thoughts individually. I have some overall thoughts on the pay-per-view. A couple notes that I made. I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of meh. Overall, it was fine. I don't know if it's just me being super invested in certain matches. Like I mentioned earlier, I think the ladder match was the first one I was like, oh shit, and like really getting into. I'm not sure if it's just the talent with me hasn't resonated that way yet. And really the only way I feel that's going to happen is watching more. Once again, I don't watch AEW week to week. I watch Dark from time to time. So like I'm a little bit more invested in the Varsity Blondes and believing in them and, you know, some other talent. But yeah, there's others I'm just like, oh yeah, they're on. But like I'm not on the edge of my seat or like, oh shit, like I kicked out or whatever. I'm not at that point yet. And maybe that's just me. I don't know. I think it is, and like how I'm connecting with the talent. But yeah, took me a while to kind of really get invested. Throughout the pay-per-view, there's a lot of biting that happened. I think it happened at 3 different occasions. Matt did it to Paige, which seemed out of his character for Big Money Matt, but could just be the dastardly heel tactic, I guess. Scorpio Sky did it to Penta during the ladder match, which I thought was very odd. And then I think it happened one more time. I don't remember when. I don't think it was the Moxley Omega match, but somebody bit somebody. I'm like, this is happening way too much. Way too much. Thought that was odd. From a crowd perspective, I think AEW needs to watch the crowd a little bit more with their masks. I feel like there was a couple shots cameramen were getting people with no mask entirely, or we're doing the half mask chin strap thing. Like, if you're going to claim to be such a safe production, like, either A, don't show it on these camera shots, or B, I hope somebody security-wise is going to talk to those people afterwards, like, oh, the person in C6 doesn't have their mask on, somebody go talk to them, or, you know, like, I don't know, it just didn't look safe. I know Tony Khan had mentioned in, I believe, both the AEW Unrestricted podcast and on Busted Open that they were reorganizing the arena to fit more people and to have pods, quote unquote, sections. I didn't see that anywhere. No pods of what I assume he meant like plexiglass sections. Didn't look any different from the week-to-week program. So, didn't like that. And then just a weird thing I noticed. The talent around the ring. Not wearing masks at all. Now, I'm fine with that. Because I know they get tested and they're doing their safety protocols. Totally fine with that. The only question I have is, obviously they don't have the mask on here. I'm pretty sure on Dark they're all wearing masks while they're on the side. Is it just a presentation standpoint? Because this is the pay-per-view. We gotta like see all their faces. If so, why not just do that on Dark too? Seemed odd. Just a weird thing. And then last but not least, Jack Evans is MVP of this pay-per-view. He shows up for the Tag Team Royale to interfere, I think, against Dark Order. And then he showed up in the ladder match to help out Max Caster, which I'm a little confused by. Why did he help out Caster with the boombox? I get it. Bowen is injured, so he couldn't help, but just thought that was odd. Also, why not just bring out the boombox on your own, Max Caster? Whatever. So just some thoughts there. But yeah, that's AEW Revolution 2021. Those are my thoughts of the matches and how it went. Like I said, overall it was fine. That ending is definitely going to be a sour taste and spot in a lot of people's minds, at least for a while. I know they were trying to do something different, and obviously it worked appeal-wise. They went hard with the appeal with this, with the mystery opponent for the ladder match, the mystery signee of the Hall of Famer, and then obviously the barbed wire match. There was a lot of stuff going into it, and I don't know if they just kind of built it up too much, maybe like there was too high of expectation going into the pay-per-view. I don't know if it was that, but probably it sold well, and hopefully the end result doesn't screw them over too bad. Only time will tell, really. If it's just one blip in the system along the line, then that's okay. You don't want to you hope not for repeats or more blips or problems or moments like this, I guess. But yeah, interesting night, interesting watch overall. So those are just my thoughts on the Revolution pay-per-view. If you guys did watch it, I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if not, just look forward to Wednesday, I guess, see what they're going to do from there, the aftermath. But this has been another episode of the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast. I hope you guys... Oh, sorry. What was the finish to Mox and Kenny? Kenny retained. Clean. He one-winged Angel Mox on a chair, I believe. Yeah, that was the finish for that. Yeah. So clean finish. They beat him up more afterwards. Then the final, minute timer started. Good Brothers, Callis, and Omega ran. Kingston came out with Blade, Bunny, and Butcher. They were trying to get him backstage. Kingston ran out, was trying to pick up, and they were like, panicked. Final 10 seconds. I think it came down to the last 3. Kingston covers him with his whole body, and then we get the little sparkler show. Yeah. So, interesting there. This has been another episode of the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast. My name is Bret, a.k.a. Enigma9011, and I appreciate you guys hanging out and joining me today. If you guys want to catch this podcast live, you can go over to twitch.tv/Enigma9011 every other Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern, unless we pre-record. You can join in the chat if you're a Twitch subscriber. We would love to have you in the chat with us because it makes the conversations so much more fun. But if you guys can't catch it live, that's a-okay. Go over to YouTube and SoundCloud the following week where it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video in MP3 on the following Friday. And last but not least, guys, remember merch store. You can get all of your swag over there, t-shirts, backpacks, and more. Rep the brand. Support us. It would be greatly appreciated. Viewers, chat, listeners, appreciate you guys hanging out. Appreciate you guys listening and watching. And we will see you guys on the next one. Take care.